Hello, welcome to Chris's Beer Reviews. How are you? Hope you are all well and all ready for the festive time of year that is Christmas, which is very fastly approaching. So I did a beer review the other day and reviewed a fantastic Shenkola beer, and I did say I would try and get another video out before Christmas. So this is that video, and it will probably be the last video I get out this side of Christmas, and maybe even this year. Who knows? But yeah, it's certainly going to be the last one that I get out this side of Christmas. So I thought, rather than do a beer review, I'd do a beer and a chat, because I haven't done one for a little while. So this is beer and a chat number 5, I believe. I've been wanting to do this one for a little while, and time's been pressing on. I've been very, very busy. So I thought, well, instead of doing a beer review before Christmas, let's do a beer and a chat. So I've written down a few topics there on a notepad in front of me so I don't forget. So where should we kick this off with? Let's kick it off with some beers that have been kind of standout beers for me this year, and not necessarily because they're the best tasting beers. They're just beers that have kind of meant something to me. I was going to do a sort of top 10 of beers of the year, and over the course of this year there's a box the other side of this bar that I've been putting cans in, or bottles in, that I found rather enjoyable, but I can't be bothered to go through all of them because there's quite a few in there. So I've done a little short list of them, and they're sitting just over here. If I sound like I'm going out of breath, I do have a bit of a cold. Well, I do have a cold at the moment. It's not COVID. I hope at least it doesn't turn into that. It's just a cold, so I'm very bunged up in the nose. My nose has been like a dripping tap, and lots of sneezing, etc. So hopefully that'll be gone by the time Christmas Day comes, because we've got the in-laws coming over on Christmas Day, as we always have, which is great. We love having them over. So yeah, let me talk about some beers that I've enjoyed this year. Like I say, there's definitely a couple in here that are not the biggest in terms of flavour. They're not blow you away beers, but they just had something about them. So I'm not going to do it in any particular order, but I will save my beer of the year, which is probably going to be quite obvious as to what that is from the review I did the other day, but I will save that one to the end. Let's just randomly pick. Oh, there's another one behind there. So last year, I think Elusive Brewing figured pretty well towards the end of the year, and they've done the same again this year, and the standout Elusive Brewing for me, and they released a few versions of their Oregon Trail this year. There's the Midnight Oregon Trail, there was the Red IPA Oregon Trail, there was the Double IPA, and then there was the Triple, which I wasn't so keen on, but the one that stood out for me the most was the West Coast Black IPA. There it is. That comes in at 5.8% ABV. That was just outstanding. Their West Coast IPA is absolutely brilliant anyway, but then to produce a black IPA version of their West Coast, I did review this. If you haven't watched it, it's worth a look. That was outstanding. I don't know if they're still making it. They're probably not. I imagine it was limited. Hopefully they'll bring it back. If maybe it does still exist, I don't know. But that was an absolutely outstanding beer, and one that I thoroughly enjoyed. I love black IPAs anyway. They're a bit Marmite black IPAs, whether people like them or not, but I really enjoy them. I find them quite intriguing, and to do a black IPA or West Coast was just incredible, and they just nailed that. They absolutely nailed it. The red IPA is in the box, but I didn't get it out for this video, but that just stood out. That was an absolutely fantastic beer. Outstanding beer. One that I reviewed not long ago was from Siren, was the Caribbean Chocolate Cake Tropical Stout with cacao and cypress wood. There it is, little 330ml can. It is quite a high ABV, I think. Was it high ABV? Not super high, 7.4%, excuse me. And that was really, really good. A really, really good beer. Shame it's a 330ml can. I probably could have drunk a 440ml can of that. That was really, really good. Definitely reviewed that one as well. This one I also reviewed. Beer from Germany was the Anna Fest beer from, where's the name of the brewery? My eyes are playing up as well because I'm not feeling the best, but there it is. I reviewed that. That was just an outstanding beer as well. Really, really enjoyable. I think it was Paul from Paul's Beer Reviews. Yeah, it was, that kind of, he said he had it, and then I saw it on, was it Trembling Madness? I'm sure it was, so I had to get it, and he was spot on. Absolutely glorious beer. Sure, I reviewed that as well. Fantastic. And then, as you know, if you follow my channel, I love West Coasts, and this from Pomona Island, their West Coast IPA Drums Please was super good. That was rivaling, if not better than Elusive Brewing. This is one of the best, just throw it around, this was one of the best UK produced West Coast IPAs I've had. Absolutely glorious. Thoroughly enjoyed that one. Don't know if you can still get it. I hope Pomona Island produce it again and still produce it to that standard. Would be amazing. So that was in there. And then another one that features really highly in one of my beers of the year was this Einslider Doppelbock. Now, this kind of goes back to what I was saying a minute ago, that some of these beers, and certainly this one, it isn't the best Doppelbock going. I've got rid of the bottle, I think. The Paulaner Doppelbock is it better? It's difficult. This is a really drinkable Doppelbock. Some Doppelbocks, I mean, they're all high ABV anyway, so they're not something you're going to session. This is 7.8%, but this was just so super drinkable. The flavours were there, a little bit kind of toned down to the Paulaner Doppelbock, but just a lot more drinkable. Some of them are a little bit rich, and you kind of getting towards the end of that 500ml bottle and thinking, yeah, I wouldn't want any more. Very enjoyable, but you wouldn't want any more. With this, the Einslider Doppelbock, you could drink that and think, yeah, I'll have another one, and maybe even another one after that. It was just so drinkable, and that's why it stood out for me. Is it isn't the most punchiest of flavours of Doppelbocks. All the flavours are there. They're absolutely all there for a Doppelbock, but it was just super drinkable. I absolutely loved it, and I bought it numerous times since I first had it. So the fact that I'm buying it again when there's such an amazing choice of German beers out there and such a good choice of beers in general, to still be buying it. Most times I put an order in at Trembling Madness or Beers of Europe, and that's still going in the box, shows that that's a good beer. Like I say, flavours are a little bit toned down compared to other Doppelbocks, but just so super drinkable and super enjoyable. So yeah, highly recommend that one as well. And then I reviewed this stout. The stout that just took me back to the 90s. It took me back to my youth, and it's just sadly not available in England anymore, was the Beamish. The Beamish stout. For me, it beats Guinness. It's a fantastic stout, and it was as good as I remember. My memory is fairly shocking. It really is shocking. And I hadn't had this since the 90s, and I always wanted it again, but could never find it. You know, there was just no one doing it. And then I found a little online store that was in Ireland that was selling it, and ordered some, and thoroughly enjoyed it. It's 4.3%, whereas UK Guinness is 4.1. It's for me, it's a better beer than Guinness. Obviously, hardcore Guinness people would disagree, but I do know a lot of Guinness drinkers that do enjoy a Beamish, and in 2024 I've got to get over to Cork, where this is quite popular, and go in a pub and have it in a pub. But it just took me back to the 90s. Everything about it took me back to the 90s. I just started remembering where I was drinking it. I think I can remember, it was out of two locations. It was either Harrow Leisure Centre's bar or the bowling alley in Harrow. It might have been their bar. Can't remember which one of the two it was, but a really happy memories, and with friends having great times, and it was just a pure nostalgia beer, and I absolutely love it. I've ordered it quite a few times from Ireland since, and enjoy it every single time. A really good stout indeed. So yeah, but it's more about the nostalgia of that. It is a good stout as well, a really good stout, but it was just the memories it was evoking. It was just, yeah, it just took me back to some really good times in my youth. Yeah, top stout. And then the final one that I reviewed the other day was the Schenkerler Fastenbier, the vintage 2019. That was just absolutely glorious. So glorious. I loved every bit of that, and you know, it's kind of expensive. Is it expensive? I think it was about £7 odd. 500ml for a vintage beer. Is that expensive? Maybe not. But it was just outstanding. If you haven't watched that video, go and watch it. That is a very good Schenkerler. Outstanding. And I've had some great Schenkerlers, but that Just top the lot. So that probably is my beer of the year. Excuse me sniffing, I apologise. I'm trying not to do that. No one needs to hear people sniffing, do they? But yeah, if it's still available in Trembling Madness, I couldn't recommend it enough. I have had it a little while. I was saving it for December, and it was fantastic. Yeah, I've had some great Schenkerlas, but that just tops the lot. Absolutely glorious. So there you go. I do need to have a little slurp of a drink because my mouth is dry and my throat is sore. So let's have a little slurp of a beer. Which this kind of leads me on to a topic. This is from Mad Squirrel. It's their West Coast IPA, 5.5% ABV. This isn't the best West Coast IPA in the UK. That Pomona Island beats that. But what this is solid and it's dependable, and it's in the core range of Mad Squirrel. And it's always the same quality. It's been around a while, but it's always the same quality. So I was thinking, they're my beers of the year, if you like, or beers that have kind of just done something for me. So I was thinking, have I got a brewery of the year? And I couldn't really come up with, have I got a brewery of the year? And I like to support local. Tring Brewery, which, you know, is one of my bar runners, is a Tring Brewery. I've got 2 Tring Brewery bar runners. That's one of them. They do great ales, more kind of traditional style ales. And then there's Mad Squirrel, which are also down the road from me. And I couldn't think, have I got a brewery of the year? Has there been a brewery that I've consistently gone back to time and time again? And it's been Mad Squirrel. And the beers that I've got from Mad Squirrel have always been their core range stuff. And this is in their core range. There's 4 or 5, I think, or 5 that are in their core range. There's that, the West Coast, there's Hopfest, there's Sumo, Roadkill, yeah, and the Big C. I think that's all of them. And they're just solid. They're solid all the time. And they're always consistent. The flavours are always consistent. So I've got to go with Mad Squirrel as my brewery of the year because I go back to their core range. If I want fridge fillers, it's Mad Squirrel that are in my fridge. You know, and you can, in Costco, if you're a member of Costco, they sell a box of their core range in Costco. 12 cans for, I think it's 20 quid, which is a pretty good bargain, to be fair. And the quality of them is always outstanding. So whenever I go to Costco, I always pick up that box. It's always in there. And an off licence down the road from me has always got Mad Squirrel beers in because we're close to Mad Squirrel Brewery. So it's nice to support local. It's nice to keep putting money in their pockets. And not just because they're local, because they just produce good beer. Their core range is solid. And I've said this before on some lives that I've been on. A lot of breweries have come and gone this year. Some have been bought out and come back again. But a lot of those breweries, those small craft breweries that have gone, haven't got a core range. You look at the craft breweries that are, you know, staying, they've all got a good core range. Vocation being a really good example of that. They've got a fantastic core range. If you've got a solid core range where people are constantly going back and buying those core range beers, it means you can start playing with ideas and throwing in new beers here and there. But you keep that core range consistent and consistently good, you're going to do okay. It's when these small craft breweries just do a run of one beer, then a run of another, then come up with another new idea, but they've got nothing core. They've got nothing that is keeping people going back to them. Whereas Mad Squirrel have got that down to an art. Same as Vocation. They've got that absolutely nailed with their core range beers. If you hear a whirring noise, my heater's just kicked in. I might have to turn it off because it's not actually cold in here. Let's just turn that off and come back again. So yeah, brewery of the year. It wasn't something I thought about saying, have I got a brewery of the year? But thinking about it, I think it's got to be Mad Squirrel, really. Just because I keep going back and buying their core range, because it is absolutely consistent and always good. I've never noticed a drop off in quality. So they're my kind of standout beers for the year, and I'd go with Mad Squirrel as being my brewery of the year. Cheers, Mad Squirrel. Also Mad Squirrel glass. Oh, this could be my longest beer in a chat video as well. And I don't need it to be because I don't feel well. But I wanted to get another video up. before the end of this, well, before Christmas. So what else have I got written down? So I've got standout beers of the year, winter beers. I've got that written down as well. Winter beers, or branded winter beers, themed winter beers. I've not really bought any. I don't bother anymore. I think if I was going to buy a winter themed beer, it would be a stout. I think winter stouts are generally much more suited to being themed because you can just get a lot more adjuncts in them, I suppose, like Christmas pudding beers, cakey type beers. What's the word I'm looking for? Mince pie type things, you know, that type of spice. You can get that in a stout quite well. There was a company, I can't remember if the company's name or it's the brand of beer was Bad Elf, who did about 5 or 6 different Christmas beers, and then you drink those, they've got nothing to do with Christmas. At Easter they could change the label to an Easter beer and it'd be exactly the same. Utter rubbish. So I think a lot of them are just gimmicky, of course they are, but I think if I was going to have any winter beers or buy any, it would generally be stouts really that I would go for, but I haven't bought any this year. I've chosen not to. I decided against that, and I'd just stick to buying the stuff that I just enjoy buying rather than spending money on something that I might not actually like. So yeah, I haven't bothered with any winter beers, but there's quite a few out there. If you've got any good suggestions and ones that you think have been amazing, then let me know and I'll give them a try. But there's plenty out there, plenty of winter beers out there. Now what else have we got on my list? Ah, here we go, yeah. Do people must still pay attention because it's in the news. I was going to do something about the news because most of the time when I do my beer and chats, I look at the news and I pick out some topics. But I've looked at the news over the last couple of weeks and there's nothing in there that I've actually thought about talking about. Nothing that I found particularly worthy of getting my teeth into and having a good old whinge, moan, chat about or be positive about. And then I saw today was the race for the Christmas #1 song. The Christmas #1. I mean, do people really care anymore about Christmas #1s? And apparently the two favourites that are battling it out at the moment was Sam Ryder, who came second in Eurovision a couple of years ago, didn't he? And I like that song that he did in Eurovision. I thought that was a pretty decent song, that. And Wham. What's Wham's song? Is it Last Christmas? Anyway, it's their 80s song, isn't it? Yeah, so it's between Sam Ryder and Wham. I mean, how many people actually really care about Christmas #1s anymore? There's, you know, the Christmas songs in general, I was also going to talk about, because I don't like Christmas songs. I find them really irritating. The one I find irritating the most, which could sound controversial due to the recent passing of somebody, is Fairy Tale in New York. I never liked that song when it first came out, and I still don't like it. But, you know, I find that a really irritating song. But if people are making money from it and people are having a nice life from it, happy days. I just don't like the song. It's got nothing to do with the people that are in the Pogues. I just didn't like that song. So yeah, Christmas music. I just don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy particularly hearing it in shops. I don't enjoy hearing it on the radio, and Mariah Carey gets played to bloody death, doesn't she? Mariah Carey. It just, I don't like her music anyway, let alone her Christmas music. It drives me insane, Christmas music. I don't dislike Christmas. I quite like Christmas. It kind of evokes a lot of kind of feelings and thoughts for me, Christmas. I've got good memories of Christmas. But it does make me think of others. It makes me think of the less needy, the people that struggle mentally over the Christmas period, the people that are on their own. Suicide rate goes up in December, which is absolutely tragic, because essentially it's just another day. Essentially, it is what it is. And most people that celebrate Christmas, and we generally all do, you know, a lot of us are not religious people. A lot of us are. A lot of people are religious, and happy days if you're religious. I've got no issues with religion, but most of it is commercial, isn't it? Most of it is about making money, and we're extracted from money from what? Even before Halloween, aren't we? as September, Christmas stuff starts appearing, and I think that's shocking, and I think that's really disappointing, especially for retail staff that are having to put out Christmas stuff in September. By the time Christmas comes for people in retail, Christmas just must be awful for them, because they've just been drowning in it since September, and then they only get one day off anyway, which I think is shocking. No one needs to go food shopping on Boxing Day. Nobody needs to go to supermarkets on Boxing Day. There's absolutely no need, because you look at the queues on Christmas Eve and they're up the aisles, aren't they? They're bloody well all the way up the aisles with trolleys full of food that will last them weeks. But they're in the supermarkets on Boxing Day. What is that all about? Shouldn't open. Food retail shops, just shops in general, shouldn't open on Boxing Day. I'm getting on a bit of a rant. This isn't where I was going. I was talking about Christmas music. Now we're on to retail. And just the money maker that is Christmas, which is what it is. But you can still make Christmas a fun time. You can still have people round, have your family round, kids. Christmas is great for kids, seeing their enjoyment. Love that. Absolutely do love that. But you can also have your family round anytime. You don't need to wait till Christmas to invite your family round. You can do that whenever you want. And we do in this house. We have people round all year round. We don't just wait till Christmas to have family over. But a lot of people do. They barely see their family, and then they'll have them over on Christmas, have a lavish meal, drink lots, and they won't see them again for another year. What's the point of that, But funny enough, I do enjoy Christmas. I do like it. So anyway, let me get back to what we're talking about. Christmas number ones. Does anybody care about Christmas number ones? So at the moment, I think, at the time of recording this, I think the Christmas number one has been announced, but I don't know who it is, but I believe it was between Sam Ryder and Wham. But what are your thoughts? Who really cares? And I think the reason, in my mind, that I don't really care about Christmas music, and in some respects music in general, is because we've lost that kind of being able to touch music. That might sound a bit strange. So I was born in 75. So by the time I was at the age of kind of 6, I was understanding music and enjoying music. So in the 80s, I would say it was when I was buying music. And so that's what I mean by touching music. Is back in the 80s and the 90s and even into the 2000s, you'd go and buy music, wouldn't you? You'd go and buy, I forgot to do it. I was going to bring down some proper records that I've got in the house and explain my point. You'd go into a shop and you'd look at the shelves and you'd look at all the LPs, the vinyl, the tapes, and it was just all generally a wall of colour and choice. And you just don't get that anymore. And the charts were a big thing in the 80s, like the Top of the Pops and the chart shows on the radios were big deals. Families would come together and watch Top of the Pops to see who was number one. And hosted by some dubious people over the years, Top of the Pops. Lots of have been looked at by the police. But yeah, people would come together and watch Top of the Pops, and that's gone, isn't it? You don't see people huddle around a radio on a Sunday or whatever listening to the charts anymore, do you? And now the charts isn't just influenced by physical sales. Most of it is done by kind of download, isn't it? Streaming and download. But the days of going into a shop and selecting an album, especially the double albums on vinyl that you could open up and it'd have the most fantastic artwork, and I wanted to bring one in here and show you, but I've forgotten, was just great. And the whole process of getting it out the sleeve and putting it on your record player, changing the settings depending on the size of the vinyl, it was just a process. It was part of the enjoyment, wasn't it? It was listening to it. Whereas now everything is quick, isn't it? With a vinyl, you'd have to wait until that needle kind of moved across, or you'd have to pick the arm up and move it to where you thought the next song was going to begin, and that was all quite fun. But now we're quite lazy, aren't we, with the likes of streaming and downloading. We don't have that. We've lost that. It's probably one of the reasons why the likes of Woolworths went under. They were big Woolworths, weren't they? For, if you remember Woolworths, for selling music, and it was fantastic. You go in there, buy some pick and mix and an album. Happy days. Life was good. Life was good in the 80s. And there was record stores like Our Price, which just had hundreds, if not thousands, of choice of music, and now we're lazy. And it's not really our fault, it's just because of the way technology's moved, isn't it? It's made us lazy, it's made us want things quick. We don't have to leave the house. You can go on your phone, go onto Apple Music, Spotify, whatever, and you're downloading it in seconds. It doesn't even take seconds. You find the album, you press store, download, whatever, and bosh, it's there. We've lost that touch. So is that why is that why people don't pay much attention to the charts anymore? Because you're not really involved in it. Yes, you're downloading it, which goes towards sales, which pushes people towards number one or whatever, but you don't feel part of it anymore. I certainly don't. Yes, I have got Apple Music, and yeah, it's great, it's convenient. It saves having to carry around things like a Walkman. I remember the Walkmans in the 80s were like that big foamy headphones, fantastic, big bright orange foam headphones. And you can plug it into your car and you've got all the music that you like. But saying that, all the music I listen to is music that's from my past. I'm not a big fan of most modern music. Most of the music I listen to is from the 80s and the 90s, and some stuff from the 2000s. But yeah, modern music I don't really listen to. But it is the convenience of it. And I sounds hypocritical, but I like that convenience. I love it. It's on my phone. Put it on my dock in the car. Turn the car on, bosh, it's there. I've got all my music with me. You couldn't do that with a Walkman. You'd have to walk around with the biggest box of tapes, wouldn't you, to put in your Walkman. And if you only had a cheap Walkman, to rewind it, you have to turn the tape over and press fast forward. So in that side of things, technology's been absolutely fantastic, but it's taken away a lot of social aspects. Going with your friends to Woolworths or our price to buy music was fantastic. And tapes as well, even tapes, they'd have a really thick inlay card and it'd open out and it'd have all the song lyrics on it, which was fantastic. I loved all of that. Absolutely glorious times. I miss all of that. They were good times, but technology changes and technology's driven us to be the way that we are. So, I mean, vinyl is making a bit of a comeback, but it's never going to be the size it was. Never in a million years. We moved from vinyl tapes to CDs. CDs are, they're pretty much almost obsolete now, aren't they, really? Unless you go somewhere like HMV, they've still got some stores, you can buy discs, but pretty much obsolete due to what you can download on your phone. So, yeah, Christmas number one. Charts in general, who really pays attention to it? I haven't paid attention to it for many years, but you can't help but have the Christmas number one stuff rammed down your throat, because if you do listen to the radio, that's what they're talking about, is the race to be Christmas number one. So it obviously means something to somebody, and if you're the artist and you're number one at Christmas, happy days. But look who we've had for the last, is it 5 years? Lad Baby coming up with crazy songs about sausage rolls. I don't know how I feel about that. It's gimmicky, and I think they gave the money to, well, they certainly gave a part of the money to charity. That wouldn't have happened in the 80s, those types of songs. You might have got the odd quirky Christmas song, but not 5 years on the trot of having someone like Lad Baby. It just wouldn't have happened. And that's no disrespect to the Lad Baby. They've made quite a success of social media, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. Fair play to them. No issues with it. But I just don't think it means as much to anybody anymore. If it means something to you, tell me. Happy days. If it means something to some people, that's fantastic. I like it. And I like Sam Ryder. If I think anyone should be Christmas number one, why not Sam Ryder? We've heard that Wham song for bloody years, haven't we? That does not need to be a Christmas number one. So yeah, music. Buy music in the 80s and the 90s. Fantastic times. Yeah, absolutely great times. And getting it home and playing it, and you'd have your friends around because you'd bought the album that they wanted that they couldn't get, and you've got it, and you'd sit around and you'd listen to it. That just doesn't happen anymore, does it? Because everyone's got music on their phone, and even if you haven't got a music app, you can just go on the likes of YouTube type it in and it will come up anyway, so you don't even need to pay for music. You might have to put up with a few more ads on the likes of YouTube if you're not paying for a service as such. Excuse me, wiping my nose. But yeah, it's there. So it doesn't have the same type of enjoyment anymore, does it? Yeah. It's something to think about, isn't it? But yeah, what are your views? What are your views on the Christmas #1 song? Do you care? If you don't, all good. If you do, happy days. So what else have I got on my list? That figured quite highly. Buy music, I've written, buy Christmas #1, Sam Ryder and Wham. Buy music 80s and 90s, record sleeves, tapes fold out inserts with lyrics, new music, thank you cards. Why have I written that? I'll tell you why I've written thank you cards. Because Christmas is that season. If you've got kids, if you've got young kids, why do parents feel they must send out thank you cards? I never understood that. Especially, I get it if the person that's giving the gift is not there to give it to the child. So they've dropped it off and said, here's this for little Jemima. Here's a present for her. Sorry I didn't get to see her. See you soon. And little Jemima or Billy opens that little present on Christmas Day and is very happy. Then you're like, okay, yeah, fair enough, a thank you card. But it's when there are also thank you cards from children that aren't even old enough to read or write, which I always find quite amusing. You get a thank you card and you're saying, thank you for my present, it was absolutely lovely. Signed Billy or Jemima or whatever. Well, they're not even old enough to read or write, so they haven't written that card. What's the point? The mum had said thank you at the time, or the dad, the parents have said thank you at the time. You said, here's a present for your little one. They go, oh, thank you, that's amazing. Thank you very much, that's very kind of you. The thank you's done, isn't it? Why do we need a thank you card from someone that can't read or write? I just find that real bullshit. I really do. And then, do you then send a thank you card for the thank you card? Thank you for your thank you card. I don't get thank you cards. If you've given the present to the person, they've unwrapped it in front of you and they've said, thank you very much, that's wonderful. What a wonderful gift, thank you. Why do you then need to send a thank you card? You've said thanks, there's no need. Thank you cards, and it's definitely going to be that season of thank you cards come the beginning of January, isn't it? But yeah, it's the thank you cards from little uns that can't read or write. That just kills me. Well, so hang on a minute. You're 6 months old. How can you possibly be thankful for that little present? Especially when your mum and dad said thank you to me at the time of giving it. Do you? No need for a thank you card. I might do it one day. I might send a thank you for the thank you card. And then see if we get a thank you card. I just thank you cards, they just irritate me. What is the point? If you said thank you at the time, there's no need for a thank you card. If you haven't been able to say thank you at the time, fair enough. No issues. But thank you cards, it's definitely that season, and that is a thank you cards. And Christmas cards as well. What about Christmas cards? Do you still send Christmas cards? I don't anymore. I really don't. I think, because a lot of the time you send Christmas cards to people, you haven't spoken to in a long time. So why are you sending them a Christmas card? It's meaningless, in my opinion. If you want to speak to them, speak to them. Pick the phone up, send them a text message, email, whatever. Why send people Christmas cards that you never speak to? What's the point? I'll give you a really good example of that. A really good example, and this wasn't actually on my list as such, is we moved into this house August 2022. In December of 2022, we were getting Christmas cards for the previous owners. Understand that. Not a problem. We're getting Christmas cards this year. So we're well over a year and 4 months later, getting Christmas cards for the previous owners. Now surely that tells you that they've not had any contact since they moved. Surely. So why are they sending them a Christmas card? What's the point? I think they moved a year and 4 months ago. I get Christmas last year, I'll buy that one, but Christmas this year, they don't know the people have moved out of this house. So that clearly shows they have no contact. So why send a bloody Christmas card to someone that you don't have any contact with and you haven't spoken to for at least a year and a half? What is the point of that? What's the point? It's just fake, isn't it? Thinking of you at this time of year. Well, Why don't you think about them other times of the year and make contact? Why Christmas? It's nonsense, isn't it? It's absolute nonsense, Christmas cards. And if it's someone that you see regularly, you don't need to give them a Christmas card because you're probably going to see them near Christmas time anyway. You give them a bottle of wine or whatever. Yeah, Christmas cards, no need. For kids, I get it. Kids, happy days. Kids love all that. Do they? Or do the kids just like the presents? So Christmas cards, yeah, I just, no, don't do it anymore. I haven't done for years, to be quite honest. Absolute years. Excuse me. Thank you cards were on my list, but Christmas cards weren't. It's amazing how we digress, and we're 35 minutes in, which is quite long for one of my beer and a chat videos. And I feel like pants. So, what else have I got? So let's talk about YouTube. Let's talk about comparing channels. Let's talk about YouTube in my year. So YouTube beer reviewing is a hobby. I enjoy it, and over the last kind of 6 months, I'd say it's definitely tailed off my channel. Definitely has tailed off in the amount of reviews, and that's not necessarily because I've fallen out of love with it as such. I haven't really. I've had a lot going on. This year's been a really, really good year, but a really, really busy year. And I have 2 YouTube channels. I've never hidden that fact that I have 2 YouTube channels. And because of my other YouTube channel, which is called Sydney Stoma, which is all about life with Crohn's disease and having a permanent colostomy. Because of that channel, a couple of years back, I was approached by a Stoma Supplies healthcare company, and I started doing some work with them. That was a bit embarrassing, wasn't it? Did you see that drip come out of my nose? I hope you didn't. That was really embarrassing. And I started doing some work with them, and they were paying me for. And I've done quite a lot with them, and I continue to do a fair bit with them, and I do videos for their YouTube channel now, of which I do get paid for. I'm not going to hide that fact. I do get paid for it. But they're kind of based on the videos that are on my Sydney Stoma channel. So the videos that I've already done, but then I'm kind of recreating those for their channel because they're all about helping people. And that's the whole purpose of my other channel called Sydney Stoma. It's solely there to help people. And it's a reasonably successful, if you like, a type of channel because it helps so many people. And the comments I get on there blow me away. The comments I get from people saying how much I've helped them and got them through some really dark times, it is amazing. It almost brings you to tears, some of the comments that I get on there. So that channel I love. I absolutely love that channel because of what it does for others, the way it helps other people. I love helping people. I really do. It's why I do that channel, is to really help people. The beer review channels is just my little escape from reality. It's just my little hobby where I can escape from reality, sit in my little pub shed, sit here with all my huge collection of glasses, you know, and yeah, I've got a lot of glasses, but I collect them. That's another part of my hobby, just like people collect badges and all sorts of things. And because of the type of year I've met some great people, and a group of great people that I met this year bought me that Chris's beer review signed, which is fantastic. I'd never have bought that in a million years, but I love it because it was a gift from people that have put a bit of thought into buying me a gift. That shows a level of thought. So it's been a good year. So yeah, going back to what I was saying, comparing channels, my thumbnail that's on here is probably a little bit clickbaity because the channels I'm comparing are my own. So we've got the beer channel and the Sydney Stoma channel. So the beer review channel is my escape. It's when I just need to go and escape, sit in here, switch off from the really busy world that I can have, and just chill out with a beer, review it, and just escape. So it's a hobby. It's definitely a hobby, but it's a hobby that gives me a little bit of escapism. And the other thing with hobbies is no hobby comes cheap, or no hobby is free. There's very little hobbies that are free. If your hobby's walking, you're still going to have to buy walking boots or walking clothing, you know. So no hobby is free, and that is why I monetized my channel. I did monetize both of the channels because they do take some upkeep, to be fair, in some respects. And I'm going to talk to you about what I make from YouTube for both channels, and it's quite interesting, the amounts for both channels. So the reason I didn't monetize the beer review channel for quite some time, I'd been over 1,000 for a while before I decided to monetize it. And I was just thinking, well, you know, why not? Why shouldn't I monetize it? It's a hobby, and hobbies cost money. So the money that I get from that channel does go back into the channel. It enables me to be able to spend £10 on a beer that I probably wouldn't have ordinarily spent on that beer, which is why I did monetize the channel. And the same with the Sydney Stoma channel. I monetized that, and between the two of them, I generally combine that to pay for this hobby as such, because I get paid to do stuff for the healthcare company that I work for doing videos for their channel. I also have a full-time job. I'm also setting up a stoma support group with the Luton and Dunstable Hospital, which I'm part of. So I have a lot going on, which is why my beer reviews have kind of dropped off, because I've had an awful lot going on. I've been working with the healthcare company. I'm doing more stuff with them in January. I've got the Luton and Dunstable Hospital requiring me to do stuff for them and set up colostomy and stoma support groups for them, which I've said they needed to do for ages, and I've kind of taken that on for them. Went to an event recently and was a bit of a kind of guest speakery type thing on there, and setting up a stoma support group within the Bedfordshire area, because I live in Bedfordshire. I've never hidden that. So that's taken up a lot of my time. So that's why my beer review channel has kind of dropped in beer reviews. It doesn't mean that I don't love it as such anymore. I do, but other things have taken priority, as well as working full time. So the comparison with the two, and I'll tell you how much each of these channels I earn from them. So Chris's Beer Reviews has 1,334 subscribers. On that channel there are 464 videos. Now that channel on average earns me, and has done, excuse me wiping my nose, I know that's really grim, approximately a whopping £25 a month on average. Sometimes it goes up to maybe 30 if I'm lucky. So that is about 30 quid. This month it's £23.60. So it sits around about the £25 a month. Sydney Stoma channel. Now this is interesting. That has 1,785 subscribers, but that only has 41 videos on it. 41, that's all it's got on there. Now, I won't put videos out on that channel unless I think they're going to help people. I could flood that channel. I could probably get that channel up to 4,000 or 5,000 subs really quickly if I wanted to, but I don't, because I'd be flooding it with crap, and I don't want to do that, because that channel is there to help people, absolutely solely there to help people. So I only put content on there that I believe is relevant and will help people. I could put so much more on there, but I don't. Now that's only got 41 videos on it. Chris's Beer Reviews has got 464. Sydney Stoma channel earns more money than Chris's Beer Reviews with 41 videos. Some of the viewing figures on that channel are astronomical. You know, we're talking tens of thousands, if not 50,000 views on some of those videos. So on average, and I barely put, I mean, it's been going that's been going 3 or 4 years, that channel, and there's only 41 videos on it. And I won't put a video out on there sometimes for 4, 5, 6 months, easily. That earns me on average £35 a month. So it kind of shows the difference. It kind of shows what people are looking for. So that Sydney channel, it's quite clear that I could push that and absolutely punt that and earn money from it, but that's not the purpose. Yes, it's monetized. I could push it, but I don't want to, because then I'm not being true to who I am and what I want to achieve with the Sydney Stoma channel, which is helping people. So while I do work with the other healthcare company, yes, they pay me as well, which is an added bonus. The stuff I'm doing with the hospital, I do not get paid for. That's all in my own time, and some of that would probably cost me money. So the revenue that comes from Sydney's Stoma channel and Chris's beer reviews and what I do with that healthcare company are probably going to fund setting up a proper Stoma support group. So yeah, that's kind of what I earn on average a month from Sydney Stoma is £35, whereas Chris's beer reviews is around about £25, which has got 464 videos, whereas Sydney Stoma's only got 41 videos. So it just kind of shows. So you can't even work out, it's even impossible to work out how much other kind of YouTube channels are earning, because it's just so varied. It varies on how much content you put out. It varies on what kind of ad revenue you've got. It varies whether you've got skippable ads, unskippable ads, super chats, you know, all that, you know, has an impact on how much money you can make on YouTube. So you could think, right, well, if Chris is earning £25 a month with 1,334 subs, let's see if we can count that up to someone that's got 4,000 subs. It's practically impossible to try and work out what someone else is earning. But I just thought I'd come on and tell you and be honest about why I'm monetized, and how much I earn from it. You know, it's not masses. I think most people know it's not masses. It's not the game it used to be, YouTube, but it's never why I ever started YouTube. I do Chris's beer reviews for a hobby. It's a hobby that costs money, which is why I'm monetized. Sydney Stoma, I do it to help people. That's the only reason I ever set that up, was to help people, and nothing else. And monetizing it has been helping fund Chris's beer reviews as such, but now Chris's beer reviews and Sydney Stoma and the money I make from the healthcare company doing videos for their YouTube channel is going to fund me getting a Stoma support group up and running in Bedfordshire, and probably Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire, to support people that have got an existing stoma and are struggling, and people that are new to having a stoma. So that's going to be funding that, and then I've got my full-time job on top of everything else. So I'm quite busy. I'm a busy boy, but I love it. I absolutely love it. I certainly can't complain. So yeah, there you go. That is pretty much everything covered. This is the longest beer and chat video I've ever done, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you'll have a marvellous Christmas. And to all those people that are a bit less fortunate or on your own at Christmas, if you're struggling, please talk to somebody. I've suffered horrendously with mental health. I still suffer with mental health, and my way of dealing it is with talking to people. So if you're struggling, please talk to someone over the festive period. Please do so. I probably won't be on social media over the Christmas period. I'm going to enjoy that with my family. So I would say contact me, but I'm just not going to be available. So I'm just being open and honest with that. I will probably not be available over the Christmas period. So there you go. But have a fantastic Christmas, all of you. And will I see you after Christmas before the new year? I don't know. I just don't know. You might. But I'm sure I would definitely see you all in the new year. Thank you very much for watching this. We're pushing on 50 minutes. It's got to get out of here. We're done. Have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you very much for everyone that watches my channel this year, all the support, all the lovely comments. I do try and reply to every single comment that is on my channel, but sometimes YouTube doesn't always show me the comments. So if I've missed it, I apologise. But thank you everybody. Have a fantastic Christmas, and I wish you all a happy new year. Take care. See you all soon. Bye now.